You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Fox News analyst torches Mitch McConnell by unearthing 40-year-old hypocrisy, based on an article by Thomas Keeker. Mitch McConnell built the trap he's now disappearing into. The source of the story. The reporting here is not really about a health mystery. It is about an 84-year-old Senate-powered broker who has not voted since June 11 after a hospitalization in mid-June, and a Republican machine that is already calculating how to weaponize his absence. The public is being handed fog. The real story is institutional paralysis, succession control, and the collapse of the standard McConnell once used to bludgeon weaker opponents. Who holds the power? McConnell is not just another absent senator. He is one of the few Republicans with enough stature to matter inside a party still organized around Donald Trump's grievance politics that makes his disappearance consequential. He is not shaping legislation, not voting on nominees, and not visibly performing the role he has spent decades claiming to master disciplined control over Senate power. The larger power struggle is also plain. The source notes that replacing him would trigger a fight between the Democratic governor and the Republican majority legislature. That is the real contest, because the seat is not just symbolic, it is a lever in a chamber where every vacancy matters. The hypocrisy was there in 1984. McConnell's problem is not merely medical, it is rhetorical. He once built his career by attacking Walter D. Huddleston for missing big votes and running a bloodhound ad that framed absenteeism as disqualifying. That was not a neutral critique of governance. It was a political strategy built on humiliation, contempt, and the claim that public office demands presence. Now the same standard points back at him. He has missed votes on critical issues, including nominees for intelligence and the Justice Department. The difference is that McConnell's absence is not being treated with the same moral seriousness he once demanded of others. That asymmetry matters. It shows how political elites reserve accountability for opponents and reserve ambiguity for themselves. The medieval frame is too soft. Calling this a health mystery fiasco risks giving the central actors too much benefit of the doubt. There is no mystery about the institutional consequence. A Senate seat is functionally diminished when its holder disappears from the legislative process for more than a month and a half. There is also no mystery about the motive structure around him. Republicans are not merely observing his condition, they are managing timing, replacement rules, and public narrative. The conspiracy chatter around photos with his wife is a symptom of the vacuum, not the court issue. When elected power goes dark and the public is denied clarity, speculation fills the space. That is not evidence of civic irrationality. It is evidence of elite evasiveness. The Republican pattern. McConnell's situation exposes a familiar Republican habit to treat institutional damage as a communications problem. If the figure is powerful enough, the party does not answer the underlying question. It waits, obscures, and buys time. If necessary, it lets a health episode become a procedural asset. That pattern is bigger than one senator. It is how authoritarian adjacent politics works inside formal institutions. Substitute delay for transparency, succession games for accountability, and public confusion for responsibility. The people who spend years preaching discipline and strength are often the first to dissolve both when the costs become personal. What this really reveals. McConnell spent decades helping normalize a politics of cruelty toward the weak, especially when absence could be framed as failure. Now he is being protected by the very opacity and tactical cynicism that his generation of Republican power perfected. The lesson is not that power eventually comes back around in some moral fairy tale. It is that systems built on opportunism eventually consume their own architects. The deeper problem is that the Senate still allows one party's internal decay to become a public governance problem while ordinary people are told to wait for clarity that may never come. That is not dysfunction in the abstract. It is how a political order decouples authority from accountability and pretends the resulting damage is just confusion. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article. With the automated voice of Kristen, thanks for listening.